welcome to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luka Cee. Now here he is, Luka Cee. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of the Unpodcast. We have a returning guest here today. I've been looking forward to this, and I just felt like talking to my old buddy, Matthew, a pal from Georgia. I think you guys know who he is. I don't think I need to introduce him. That's the guy. He knows who Rat Pink is now, for sure.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I just thought, what the heck? Let's have a little chewing the rag session going on about, you know, that stuff that's behind you, these kind of things, whatever these are, that kind of run our lives.
It's easy to talk about those things. The other night we had a Patreon live stream that lasted 3 hours.
Yeah.
We talked about model cars the entire time.
Never even diverted for anything else.
We did not. It stayed on model cars.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I know that one that you invited me on a few months back. I mean, we were on there for. We were talking like, I'll probably be on there for a half hour or whatever. And I jumped in a little late, and it's just like I took it right to the end.
Yeah,
I think I was on longer than you.
You may have been. I was so tired the other night on our live stream that I was yawning. They were like, "Oh, Matt," I said, "You guys can have it. I can turn it off, and you can keep talking as long as you want." But it was great, and it's a great subject to talk about.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Oh
Yeah.
Boy, I can talk about model cars like forever, and that's great. You know, with the whole line now, and I heard some other YouTubers, you know, the Holy Grail thing. I liked your video, man. You and Mark, and I went and watched Jason's, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a fun time doing that video.
It is. I watched that one, and it is that subject is so different in perspective from YouTuber to YouTuber.
Yeah.
What is a Holy Grail as far as is it something that you can't get? If you have it, is it still a Holy Grail? That subject, I watched so many of those videos, and mine was just, honestly, it's like it's subject to change. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what's been kind of, because we've done that, us group of YouTubers have done that kind of thing in the past, where one guy says, hey, this is this to me, and what do you guys say? And all of a sudden all the YouTubers start putting their video out. It's neat to see all the different perspectives and stuff. And then you get to see a lot of neat stuff.
You sure do. And that was the good thing about it, is you got to see some kits maybe that they didn't have in their possession, but what their Holy Grail kits were, and they would show a picture of it on the computer or whatever. And it was something that I've never even seen before. Again, reinforcing the fact that maybe my Holy Grail is something that I haven't seen yet. So
how you might even not know it's there.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
I'll stick with my opinion.
Yeah. But yeah, you got some cool stuff behind you there. I noticed that. I didn't know you. When did you get that Porsche?
I just got it, and I thought you may see that.
Yeah.
Excuse what's behind it, because it's my GTX. But yeah, I just got this off of eBay, and I thought, man, that looks cool, and it's in perfect condition. The decals look like they were made just yesterday. Yeah, and it's a tester's kit.
Yeah, I know you like those tester's kits. But the nice thing about that is that's the good Ferrari 917K, because that's actually the Fujimi kit, I believe.
This is okay. So I'm not sure about that, because it doesn't. A lot of times they'll have them listed.
Yeah.
But on this one, it just says testers, and I know that testers didn't make this. There's no way. No.
Most of the time they were Fujimi.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time,
make a lot of those. Yeah, you're exactly
especially
right.
their Porsche stuff. But yeah, and Fujimi still puts that kit out. So I just recently picked one up about a year ago. You know, and everybody said, because I got what's the one I got? I got it's up here. It's a Heller. I bought it because I love the box art.
Yeah,
it's just such beautiful box art. But everybody who builds those type of sports car models, they're all saying, yeah, don't just get a Fujimi. Don't even bother with that.
I remember when you got that kit, and I saw the box art, but yeah. And then I ventured into the world of Heller and built a 32 Heller Renault. I got corrected on.
No,
It's not Renault. It's
no,
Renault.
it's Renault.
Oh well.
You got schooled again, huh?
I did. I learned something else.
See, that's what's great about you getting your channel going and all that is you get educated.
You better believe it.
And that is that's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and it's not that I've learned it on my own. It was when I put a video out and I may say something and credit. I'll give credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
that's what the comment section. There's a very positive aspect of the comment section. And
absolutely.
When you make a mistake, they're going to correct you. But that's good. That's that corrective, criticism, but it's a corrective.
Lots of times, lots of guys are. It's what? It's white. It's lots of times, a lot of the guys, they're very good about it. And it is, and I've learned something. I've often asked, hey, I'm not 100% on this. Let me know in the comments below, and they do, and I have discovered that. Heck, I'll tell you something that was great about comments. So I was doing my last Lucas kits, which was that Superbird, that Johann Superbird. I had in the comments, everybody kept saying, you left the hope you don't lose him, you left the taillights out. The taillights are out. You left the taillights out. A bunch of people said that. I go, I might have left the taillights out. I go, sure as anything, they were sitting there.
Really?
On my desk, and I could have easily just brushed them off the side thinking they were parts from another kit. So I had it put away. So yeah, they rescue us sometimes, huh?
They do. I have a quick little story. There was a kit that Heather, I think Heather was building her 55. It was something, but no, it wasn't. It was her Jeep. We thought that maybe we did. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, we opened up the kit on video and she was looking at the parts, and then we threw the bags away because, we opened it up. The bags are empty. We threw them away. And we lost a part. I think it was a chrome piece. And someone in the comment section said, I saw the part that you're missing when you unboxed it. You better check. And I hadn't thrown the garbage out yet. And I dug it out, and they saw it, and they were watching the video and said, there it is. And so saving you.
Yeah. You guys save us.
They sure did.
Need you.
It's not always bad, and sometimes I have had comments, from time to time that are very negative and coming at it at a wrong angle. But 99% of my commenters, 99.9% of them are positive. They've put me to where I'm at. They've grown me because I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Not an idea. I had no idea. I had no idea who Rat Fink was.
No idea. And now you
wear Larry. Yeah, Larry Parr sent me a shirt. I know who Rat Fink is. So I mean,
that's awesome. Yep, you had no idea.
I had a clue. Not a clue.
And you haven't been, and that hasn't left you. What? That's like a year and a half ago, and that hasn't left you yet.
No, it hasn't. And actually, where's it at? Right here. Hold on. Dennis Smith is having a model show in
yeah, that's right.
It just happens to be Ed Roth's birthday on the show date. So if I can make my way up to Roanoke on March the 4th, that will be epic.
I don't think I can. That of course is a show I really want to try to make a point of going to every year. Hopefully I can eventually start doing that, because that's kind of, I don't know, that's like my other hometown. I lived there for a while, and I'd love to go back and see all those guys. And it is a great show. It really is. I mean, it's been around a long time. I went to it, back in the early 90s. Yeah. But I know Dennis has done a heck of a job growing it. And that would be cool if you made it up there. I know he would get a kick out of it. Everybody would.
Dennis Smith is such a nice guy. At Acme, I was off doing my thing, and Heather was standing over to herself, and Dennis and her were talking, and she told me, she says, he is such a nice guy. And I said, well, he's having a model show on March the 4th. We may could just go up there and we'll see Dennis Smith again.
It's an easy ride. I've made that trip several times. It's an easy ride.
Yeah, no problem at all. I think we could get there in about 10 hours. And
yeah. Because you're like, what? You're 4 hours or 3 hours south of of Atlanta, right?
4.5 hours south
Yeah.
of
Ooh,
Atlanta.
yeah. Yeah, you're close to the Florida border,
Oh,
right?
right on it. Yeah, right on
Oh,
it.
yeah. So, yeah, that's a run, but it could be
No, we
fun.
could do it. We could do it. We could
It's a
do it.
fun show, and there's a lot of great people that go there. I know he definitely has been growing it. Yeah, I got to get that flyer, and I was gonna uh send him a message today or something if he had any pictures
I can
from the
send you
show
one. Don't
last
worry.
year.
Yeah. Oh, for pictures from the show. Yeah, I've seen some video and shows some pictures from that show, and I was like, wow, that's a nice one.
Oh yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like to make that one for sure.
yeah. It would definitely be fun. That'd be
Mhm.
neat for you to go. Yeah, Dennis is a cool dude. We had a good time in Atlanta with him.
We sure did. Got to ride in his Marauder. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that Marauder.
yeah, for sure.
That was comfy, wasn't that? Man, I felt like we were like made men or something back
That's
there, right?
right. Yeah, I was like, man, I'm getting to ride in this car.
It was
Yeah.
more comfortable than the beds in that that hotel we stayed at.
We were at Atlanta recently, and I pointed to Heather. I said, "That's where we stayed."
That's the infamous Red Roof Inn over there.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's where we stayed.
yeah,
Oh well, we weren't the only ones. Dennis stayed there as well. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. There were things we saw on the wall I don't even want to talk about.
oh well, it was just I'm okay with a grungy hotel room, but my wife is not. So
No, 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 no.
it's great that she didn't come with us.
Yeah, that was yeah. She would not have been happy.
No,
I
she
heard
would
that,
not.
and I actually heard that the other hotel wasn't that much better. But I tell you what, it's great news that they're moving venues for the Acme Southern Nationals and that new hotel and all that they're staying at. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Fred Henry did a video and told about the hotel, how
Yeah,
it was a brand new hotel, practically brand new, and the event center, or where it's to be held at, is just much larger.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the nice thing about it is I checked it out on Google Maps and stuff. And they're the two building, the hotel and the venue are like the buildings are back to back. They almost share the
really.
same parking lot, so you can walk out of your hotel and just walk around.
Yeah,
So that's going to be real.
very convenient. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what they need, because at the Acme, the atmosphere is great, but it's very cramped, and they couldn't fit any more vendors, nor could they fit any more cars on some of the tables. So to expand that, to give them more square footage or a larger footprint, is going to
yeah,
be wonderful. Because one thing that I did notice, and it's not negative because they couldn't do anything about it because they were limited on their space, but sometimes there were so many cars on the table that you could lose a car in the mix. It could just be lost. It could be a show winning car, but
yeah,
there was so much going on around it because of lack of space. And again, not to there's nothing negative on the Acme group, the Acme
yeah.
the ones who put that show together. They just were limited on space.
Yeah, it's not their fault that many model
No,
cars show up.
exactly. And to hear that they're practically doubling that space, you're going to have a lot more room on those tables, and it's going to be great.
They said that they average they turn away 10 to 15 vendors a year.
Wow.
That just means we're going to have more vendors now too,
Mm-hmm.
which yeah, that's great.
It
I got to fill
is
that,
because
fatten up that wallet a bit before I go next.
yeah, exactly. You may find that Holy Grail that you didn't know existed.
Yeah. Oh, one of my holy grails that I didn't even mention in my video. I have so many. There was one there that I was like, I'm going to come back, and then it was gone. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then you see some guy walking around with it under his arm, and you're
And
like, "That's the one that I missed." Yeah,
you want to go do the old high school hallway trick and knock it out like from behind him, like their notebooks.
Mm-hmm. Or pull his pants down real fast, and he'll drop it. And you just take off running with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have been to a lot of shows, and I think that's probably one of the best ones I ever been to. I had such a good time at it.
Yeah. Recently, I went down to Tampa, Florida, or it was Largo, Florida, outside of Tampa.
Yeah.
I think the Clearwater area, or I'm not even sure. Anyway, Largo, Florida, there was a small show I went to called the Southland Show, and I
Yeah.
was able to peruse the vendor area there, which was a lot smaller than Acme, but they had a lot of neat kits. And what's interesting about doing the videos on the vendors is you get so many comments too late. But anyway, they would say things like, if you would have just, I saw my Holy Grail kit, or on and on. If you would have just, if I could have just, if I knew you were going there, but those videos obviously are a week
Oh
old
yeah.
before they see it. But it is really cool because just to hear people's comments, that was the one. And I had no interest in that kit, or I would have bought it. But to see people's different taste in what is their most wanted kit is a super interesting topic. And that's why these videos just went wild, because I love it. I love to see what people like. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Everybody has their thing that they're really into. That's what's cool. That's what makes us all individuals too. So, and the hobby's been around for so long now. There's been so many kits made, so many kits that have come and gone that that just makes the whole Holy Grail thing even get more and more over the years, as it gets harder and harder to snag some of them. Some of them old ones that you might have had when you were a kid, or you just have always wanted. But
so I've got a question that maybe I just would like to get your input on it.
Okay.
So the prices of model kits, especially on eBay, have really they're getting beyond belief on some of these kits. Do you think that us YouTubers showing kits, doing haul videos and things like that, giving attention to kits, could maybe be pushing prices up on eBay and places like that?
That's interesting. I think it might, if it's in the sense that it's making more people aware of some kits they might, like what you said, like might never known of. You might never have known about all these, these people that, like you, for instance, when you first came in on the deal, you had no idea what the heck was going on with, you'd been out of it for so long. But there's some people that get into the hobby just in the past 5 or 10 or even 20 years that never were in it before, and then they find out all the cool stuff that came out in the 70s and came out in the 60s. And
exactly,
in the 70s were really when things really took off for model kits. Late 60s or the 70s, so much cool stuff was put out that back in those days, they would make like this kit here. That thing started life as a 70, then it got turned into a 71, and then it got turned into a 72. And so you'll never see the 7. Well, they retooled the 70 later on, but I doubt you'll ever see a 71 of that.
Yeah, right.
And exactly. And it's and so they would do, and that's like the whole thing with the Camaros, why the mid 70s big bumper Camaros are so sought after, because they're never going to find the mold.
Yeah,
the mold got turned into a 78 and then an 80.
Yeah.
So because of that, it creates this one, and then it's the supply and demand thing.
Mm-hmm.
The guys who got it go, well, you want it, you're going to have to pay it.
Yeah. And that supply and demand drives it up. But that's the thing. I think maybe some of us YouTubers may make the demand go, and so I'm afraid that we may be our own worst enemy in kit prices, because when we bring attention to a kit, for instance, this is a 1962 edition of a Rambler American, a little Johan kit that Alvis Barrington sent to me. This kit I saw on eBay, I only saw one that was complete. It was going for $245.
Oh yeah.
Now that doesn't mean he's going to sell it for that. But could I have possibly made that kit worth more? I'm not, and this is bringing credit to me or who I am. I'm nobody. I'm just a guy sitting in a metal shipping container that's got a bunch of model kits around him. But our YouTube, because YouTube in the model world has really grown. It's just since I've started. There's tons more channels that do things with this. So the eyes are on model kits, and again, I don't know if we've harmed it, if we've hurt, if we've made the values go up. That's good for those selling, not good for those buying. I don't know how that's going to work.
I think if you're going to link us to it, because it goes a little farther back. You could say that it's really the internet, not so much just YouTubers. The YouTubers,
Yeah.
you know, there's been so many of us in the past couple of years, and we're putting out the content like what you and I and Tim and BG, everybody does, is we all get these cool kits and we show them and you know, over the past couple of years, the whole, you know, stash ad that, you know, videos got so popular that it's bringing up more awareness. But I noticed this happen like back in around 2000. I mean, you know, there was always kind of some kits just were always outrageous prices way back, you know, I'm in the 90s and stuff. And when I was getting into buying up my collection and going to swap meets and then even doing some selling. And it would almost be like back then, a kit would get discontinued. It would be amazing. A kit would get discontinued that the prices would immediately start shooting up on them.
Yeah.
Like within a month. And they'd always think, well, you're never, because there was for a while, a kit that got discontinued back in the 90s, there was no, like, that's why the 70s kits were all so high dollar. There was no sight of them ever showing back again. The model companies would just make new stuff back in those days. That they really didn't bring out old molds very much, or they would just keep producing the same old thing. You know, some of the kits just kept on happening. Yeah. But the thing that I noticed, I remember an absolute particular, in 2001, I was at an IPMS show. I was selling my product. And there was this guy who had a big kit collection, was selling up really nice stuff. And he was the first time I ever heard this, as I says, "Hey, what do you want for that?" And he goes, well, and it was before smartphones and stuff. He had a notebook, and he goes, "Well, on eBay, it goes for," so honestly, it was like eBay itself.
Yeah.
Started launching the price of the kit. And it's like, hey, whoa. Forget the eBay thing, dude. What do you want for that? Because there's eBay at that time, it was like eBay prices, and then there's we're here, you and me. You don't have to ship it to me. We don't have to play games. It's just like I'm going to hand you cash right now.
Right. There's no eBay fees or anything like that. It's,
exactly.
It's cash in hand, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, you know, this guy, and you want to know something? That dude that day took most of his stuff home. He didn't sell much. Yeah, I had kits that I would sell, and I had them marked down there where if people wanted to buy them for less, I was like, I'm the cheapest here, just buy it for that.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother story. I got some funny stories from that. That's fun to do. Yeah. But I mean, I was just blowing kits out. I brought them here to sell. If I bring kits to a swap meet, I want them gone. I'm not looking for a top dollar for them.
Yeah, at Acme, the majority of the vendors were very reasonable with their prices. But then you have that one vendor that has double the prices. The price is doubled literally on some the same kits, and you'll notice that he has a whole wall of them at the end of the day because it's just obvious. I'm going to pay less money. That's what it's all about. It's about how much can I get this thing for? It's not about, I'm not worried about making you money. I'm worried about saving me money. So I mean,
yes. Yeah, it's I know. Yeah, when I was cruising around that swap meet last year, I was really impressed I was impressed at the stuff, the wide variety of stuff. I couldn't believe how many, like the Fujimi Porsches, and there was quite a few vendors that were selling that kind of stuff. And I couldn't believe the prices they were asking were so reasonable. I was really impressed with that swap meet and the vendors at the Atlanta show, you know, in 21. Yeah. So, and from what I heard, what I saw, you know, Tim Brown over at Throttle Power did a really great video on the swap meet too. That was one. He had one. He pulled a bagged kit out. I had literally that day before I watched this video was thinking, man, I'd like to find one of those. Even if it was a built up, I would love to have one. And he pulled it out, and it was actually a nice built up. And I was like screaming at the TV, buy it for me.
I remember you saying that on a video.
Yeah.
I forget which one it was, but I remember you saying that.
Yeah, that was hilarious. But yeah, I mean that's really it's really there. Everybody seemed to be real reasonable. That's just what's so great about that show too. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I hear there's
Last
good
year,
vendors up at Dennis's show too. In
I hope so. Well, I'll try to take as much money as possible if I can make it up that way. That is my highlight. If I go to a show, I like to see the show. I like to see the show, but to see kits that are in a price range that you can afford is just, it's overwhelming because
oh yeah,
I've got to decide which one of these I want. And they're all like in JaxCon last year, there was a guy that was selling kits. His whole table was $10. As a matter of fact, my GTX, that kit is about a $60 kit. I bought it for $10 from that guy.
yeah.
It was sealed. It was still in the wrapper. So you never
Oh
know what you're
yeah,
going to find
you
at
showed
these
that.
shows. Yeah, it was still in the wrapper
Yeah.
for $10, and I bought half of his table because it's $10 a model kit. That's
Oh yeah.
insane. Yeah, so
Oh, I
that
love
guy's
when people are selling model kits for $10 and
yeah.
what the heck?
Who is this? Spider-Man?
He put on his daddy's Cardinals hoodie.
Oh, he had a hoodie.
He likes hoodies. Another great show that if you could ever make your way up to is going to that show in New Jersey, the NNL East. You want to talk about, you better bring a pocket full of money because that is one heck of a swap meet, I hear.
Well, that one's on my list as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
And
I
I would love to make some of the farther off shows. Salt Lake's a pretty good haul. That would be a vacation.
Yeah.
Not just not a model car show, but yeah, there are so many shows that if you're not careful, you miss a lot. You can look at the IPMS calendar and things like that. There's so many that small shows that are still worth going to. The little Southland show was a good show. It was just small. But
I don't believe there's no such thing as a bad model little model car show. Small, they're always fun.
I get to see people. That's what I like about it. People say, "Hey, Matthew." As a matter of fact, my buddy Sam, which I finally got his name right, I was like, I met so many people that I couldn't remember who his name, but my buddy Sam gave me, as soon as I walked into the Southland show, he handed me this kit right here.
Nice.
It's an F40, a Fujimi F40.
That is cool.
You meet people that you have the same interests, so you already have a conversation. It's ready to go. And that's one of the great things about the shows is you get to talk to people. I can go to my work. Nobody talks about model cars there. Nobody.
Boy,
I'm the only weirdo. Yeah, I'm the only weirdo there. Yeah. And but I can go to a show and everyone is there for the same reason, and it's not hard to strike up a conversation and just have a great time. And so it's the camaraderie, it's the seeing the model kits that are cheap, and it's the and then you get to see how bad of a modeler you are by seeing what's the stuff that's on the table.
And get inspired.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
You're watching the Luka Cee channel on YouTube.
All right, well, we're back, and quick little break there. Thanks for letting us pay the bills. And so back to our conversation. Yeah, pretty much you've just you were, when we got together at Atlanta back in 21 it was.
Yeah.
You were like, that was only your second show. You had been to one small show like the week before. So you were all new to the show. And I love the conversations that we had, getting to spend some time together. That you were, I remember you saying, like, first of all, I asked you, why didn't you bring a model? And you, I don't really have anything to bring. I'm just, I'm never going to be one of these type of builders. Yeah. And I think I'm going to just always build out of the box, not a lot of detail, if any. And then after that show, you were just like, it was just, I could see, the leaf was turning, and bam, the next thing you're doing is that 44.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That really, it did break the mold a little bit. So it it took me from my comfort zone to, well, did I even have a comfort zone? The place where I just was at.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to, I felt challenged. I felt like if I didn't do it,
Yeah.
then what kind of guy am I? And so by having that challenge, I was able to, like, I took and hacked up a 67 Chevelle chassis and smashed
Yeah.
it under the bottom of that, and
Yeah, you were just having a ball.
and it was a lot of fun. And the farther that thing came along, it was like, wow, this really looks nice. And I'm very proud of it. It's
Yeah.
very low detail compared to what you would see on that NNL stage.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it I went over and above and beyond, or whatever you would say, and it helped me.
I tell you, a couple people told me who saw the thing in Atlanta, saw your 40 Ford, were going, man, that is nice looking model Matthew did. Really look good at sitting there on the table. So, just people personally talking to me, I said that.
It was fun. And Tim at Throttle Power, he came up to me and wanted to see it at the end of the show. And that made me feel good that because I hold Tim up pretty high. I mean, he sees a lot of model cars. He goes to so many shows.
Yeah.
And it made me feel good for him to say, hey, can I look at that more, have a close up look at it. And so we talked for a few minutes afterwards after the show was over. But I didn't win anything, and I didn't go even expecting to win anything. And that's I guess when you asked me the first time we went, are you bringing anything? And I said no. It's because I guess when you take something to a show without knowing, you have an expectation that it's either it's a car that can win or it's not. And if it's not, why bring it? That's not the reason to enter it in the show. It's the sometimes people just want to see the thing that you built on your bench that they saw on your YouTube channel and things like this. So it makes it a lot more fun. And I will enter cars into shows now, not expecting an award, just expecting a conversation.
It's so, to me, like, I have a plan for a model that I want to have for Atlanta next year that is going to pretty much be my mainline build for next year. And my thing in the class that I'm going to put it in, and the people that I'm going to be setting my model to are some of the model builders that I really model building. Well, people, I respect, but as model builders, I highly respect these guys. And my goal is not to get a piece of glass from Acme, which would be awesome. Not saying I wouldn't like it, but is to just put the model on the table and have, Clay Kemp or Wayne Stevens or Jay Severese or Mark Batson, those guys, and Rob Smorey look at it and go, whoa, that's all I need is if I get a whoa from any of those guys or all of them, I'll be done. That'll be for me. And that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm building this next project for. That I'm looking forward to it. And it's if I can get that, and that's always been my thing going to shows is I'd go to shows, and I've had it happen, builders that I always had high respect for that would say, whoa, that's neat. Wow. That's better than any piece of plastic or glass or wood or something.
Yeah. So speaking of talking about something that's really neat and it's very uncommon is I have my Ruthie that has built the Chevelle. We're working on the 29, very slow progress. And then I have Heather that has built the 55 truck in the Jeep. And just recently I did a video with Heather, and she came out in the model room. She said, you want me to come out with you? And I'm like, yes, come out here and then I'll get you hooked on something. So I'm so excited because most guys don't have this luxury. I have a wife that will sometimes, occasionally, maybe once a year, sit down and build a model kit with me. And I think she's going to build this one.
Oh boy.
So it's a very simplistic model kit that's been out for 100 years. It's old, it's fiddly, but she likes this kind of stuff. And I am so thrilled that she's going to do something like that. I'd like to see her have that done by JaxCon.
So what I can see is in the house now, Heather will have her models can come in the house and be but not yours.
Yeah, maybe so. That
It's
would
like
thrill
that.
me.
That's like that could be a thing that's like decorative in a home.
Yeah.
Those old wagon wheel cars like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, I know.
And
She did such a great job on that pickup.
she did. She's very
You could see that she was having a good time. That was genuine. Those videos,
yeah.
and
So with
Ruthie
me,
too.
yeah, with me, it's like, oh, you won't see that. Don't worry about it. But not her. She's a little bit more interested in the details, the smaller
Yeah,
things.
she was a bit fussy about some things I saw. That was cool.
Yeah, she is. And then Ruthie recently, and you may have seen it, and everyone else may have seen it that watched my videos, but we were at the Southland show and I was pushing her. I'm like, now, Ruthie, if you see anything you like, now you just let me know. Most kits were 10, 15, $12 range. And she says, I like that, Daddy. It's
Oh
cute.
yeah.
She says it's cute. It had a $30 price tag on it, but I was like, do you like that? She's like, yes, sir. And I said,
Oh man.
okay, we'll get it. And I can't
Cool.
wait. She said, I said, well, what do you want to do with it? She says, maybe put some surfboards coming out the back or something. So that female got to decorate it.
Wow.
That's how they are. So I can't wait. But anyway, this maybe will be Ruthie's her next kit that she'll build after the 20.
Neat.
So it's
Hey,
exciting.
would she want it lifted with bigger tires and wheels?
I'm not going to mention that to her because I mentioned a little too much on the 29, and now we've got this huge Hemi trying to fit it down into this little bitty frame. And anyway, it's coming along, but it's a fiasco. But no, I think we'll stay box stock with
Good.
the Charger.
That's
it's fun. It's fun to have.
See how you got your family involved in it. Yeah,
it's amazing.
I always did that too. I'm Felix is starting to get, I did it with his mom. She was really she enjoyed building model cars, and it was her. She loved coming and hanging out in the model room with me. Yeah. My ex-wife built some really nice model cars. She actually won awards at some of the show at Dennis's show back when we lived there. Yeah, she was she loves cars, and she was a Hot Wheel collector when I met her. So she was already had that kind of thing going. So, it worked out with the the model car thing was never an issue in our household. And
that's neat.
Yeah, she so we always had fun as a family with the hobby, and that was always cool. And I see it in Felix now to a point that it's actually getting. Denise said to me just a couple of weeks ago, she goes, I think I want to build a model car again.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. Maybe somebody in your household to build one. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's got to be. It's definitely not going to be me. But Felix, I've been buying him. He's been like, as a matter of fact, a really cute thing happened with Felix now is we go over to Andy's, and he gets all excited going to Andy's now. And I mentioned it, and he was running around the house and he was getting his shoes. I was, well, we're not yet. We're going to go today to Andy's. And right as we're he's going to Andy's. And when we got there, and he goes in the door and he goes, hi, Andy. Andy has this big gumball machine. So Andy will give him a quarter, or I give him a quarter and stuff. And he runs that gumball machine, loves it. And he loves that shop. But he goes over to the Bandai section, and he has been just loving those Bandai kits, those little Pokemon Bandai kits.
Yeah.
And he saw last time we were there, he saw one again. I just saw, I'll get that for you next time. So I think we're going to get a bunch of those for Christmas for him, but I've been buying those for him, and I stepped back. He's completely putting them together himself, and he's having a ball with those. So I see it brewing. So that's cool. And he just did a lovely green paint job on that vintage model I had. But he is so intrigued by my model bench, and if he comes in my room and I'm at the model bench, immediately he's got to run up and get on look over my shoulder.
Well, that's the future of our hobby. Mm-hmm. And when we were at Acme, me and Ruthie were down in front of the stage, and the president of Acme, his name's Wayne.
Yes,
he came down and was talking with me and was asking if I would continue to try to promote younger people to come into the hobby, because there's not that many. The average age at Acme I was probably one of the younger guys there, and that's an unfortunate thing because of the invent of video games and other things that can keep people preoccupied. Why would we want to exercise our hands and our brains and to try and do things when we can live in a virtual world like a video game?
Oh yeah.
So that's an unfortunate thing, but I want to promote is any young person. I've had a couple of young people reach out to me in the comment section, and I want to do all that I can to further that interest in this hobby. Because
it's definitely something. Some people get me wrong because I think sometimes there's doom and gloom about we got to get the kids, and some of these guys, they get a little over into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. I mean, yes, you want to promote it with the young kids, but really I have seen this over the years. Even when I got into the hobby, I actually got into it real serious. I was about 19, 20, 21 when I joined the first model club, and they were all older dudes. I was the youngest guy. As a matter of fact, I used to, it was when I was playing in heavy metal bands in the 80s and had long hair, little guy back then, believe it or not. You saw the picture.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah, I come, walking in, and there were some of the guys, they didn't know how to deal with me. They didn't know, there was a couple of dudes that were really cool that are today, like in the model car mafia, that are good friends of mine even today now. Those were the guys that were just, immediately accepted me and saw I was, I put some cool models on the table. And those guys were so influential to me in this hobby. But yeah, there was nobody my age or even close to my age when I joined that club. So it's kind of really the young kids, though. I think, like I did this whole thing with a Unpodcast with my daughter a couple years ago now. She gives credit to my involvement in the hobby, and she got into building. Mm-hmm. I still say promote the kids, get them involved, get them building, just to have them have that crafting, working, like you said, using your head and working things with your hands. And then they might step away from it and don't, when they become 13 years old, 14, 15, they might step away from it, but it's going to brew something else later. They might come back to it.
Yeah.
They might come back to something else. Like my daughter got into making costumes and cosplay and stuff, and has her little area that she does crafts, and she loves doing crafts, and she's doing that with Felix too. And he's just getting to be a little crafty guy. It's definitely a really smart thing. I think we definitely got to do that. All of it all does nothing but help the hobby.
So what you're saying is, when you got into it at 18 or 19 years old, those men were looking at you like you were the one that you were going to save the hobby because you were the young guy.
No, they weren't.
but well, in a larger perspective, it's probably going to be here.
Yeah.
We don't see those younger people as often or whatever, but when you go into Hobby Lobby, for some reason, they continue to sell model kits. I don't know who they sell.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've never seen anyone else in there except for myself. But some other people are buying these, and there's Hobby Lobbies everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So there is an interest, even if it's a hidden interest, that they don't have a YouTube channel. They don't even watch YouTube. They just go in their basement. They build model cars. There are people that are continuing this hobby that we don't see. We only see the shows and we see YouTube videos. Other than that, there's millions of other people that thousands of other people maybe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Andy said every year has been a better year for him. I know of other, like Tim told me that's exact same thing, that his friend who has a really good, really, really nice hobby shop up there in Louisville says the same thing. Every year has been getting better for him. Michael Gaston, he's moving his hobby shop. His hobby shop has just always been going and going. So the whole thing hobby dying is just not the case. Maybe it's probably an upslide to all the bad stuff that happened in back in 2020. But you know, the positive is I think it did give a boost to hobbies like ours, and it's extremely good. I think we're benefiting big. I think the things exploding still. You know, there's so much going on in the world. Everybody's got to have something to get away from it, and this definitely helps us get away from it.
It does. It's a very cozy feeling to have about 500 model kits wrapped around you, just giving you a warm hug in the evenings. So,
My friends. Yes.
Hey, one thing that I want to change the subject, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's go for it.
You mentioned on your Holy Grail video, you went over and you were talking about those Aurora kits. I believe that they were the engines and all those things. Those I've never even seen those. So they're again reinforcing my idea that your Holy Grail is an ever evolving and changing goal. But my friend George, and you know George Opham, I think George's last name is very difficult. Okay.
Yes.
George was on the page. Yeah, he is. Well, I think he's one of your Patreon members, but he's on the Patreon live stream recently, and he asked me before the live stream. He said, "Is there any way I could show you guys this model?" So he had, and I don't remember what it was. I have no idea. I forget what it was, but it was this. It was a large scale. It was a Ferrari. It was a V12. It was had tons of metal parts. That kit is over $1,000. And it's not an old antique kit, but it was so intricate. It had it, and when I saw those Aurora kits, this thing has the crankshaft that's multiple pieces. It's got the connecting rods, the pistons, the valve train. I think it even has possibly valve springs, but it does have actual valves.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. And when I saw those Aurora kits, I was like, wow. And that is so. Those things are from what, the 60s?
Yeah, the early 70s.
Early 70s,
and very early 70s. Yeah. Yeah, I think those kits came out in 72.
Yeah, that is when I was watching that, I was like, man, I never even knew those existed. Look at that. That is too cool.
And because of what happened to them, it's so horrible. I remember hearing the story back in the 80s, you know, late 80s. And when I got to see them for the first time, this was 1989, and they were legend then.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they were something unattainable then. I had only seen a couple times I've got to see them, and if you know that beautiful box art that I showed, you can see all the pieces and everything. When you look at them, you actually see them. Oh wow, they are that nice. It's just the engineering of them are just breathtaking, breathtaking. And you build it right, everything will move.
Yeah. And that is amazing. And I don't even put lower radiator hoses or rear view mirrors in my stuff. Why would you ever put a crankshaft and pistons and rod? It's that, you know what you did. Bring up another YouTuber here, Mark Batson.
Yeah.
I was talking with him, and I don't remember if it was a phone conversation or what it was, or if it was at Acme. I can't remember, but he seems to be a very intricate person.
Yes.
That even if you can't see it, or even if it's going to be hidden by something, it's still going to be right. And I'm the guy that's like, you'll never see it.
If you ain't gonna see it, I'm gonna just say it's there.
Yeah. So our hobby is covered from the most sloppy to the most intricate perfectionist. And I'm not saying that Mark Batson's a perfectionist. I've already been corrected on that by him. But anyway, we have such a large spectrum. It makes it so much fun, because if one of these really organized people came into my hobby room and have a stroke and fall out dead, it's such a mess. But
I bet you I got you beat.
Yeah, I love it.
I tell you, I always joke about my model bench. I have an 8-foot table, 8 by, you know, one of them typical fold out tables. So 8 by 3 or something like that. I have workable space just big enough for the small mats. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, there was a guy.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and that makes me feel just right at home. You know, when you can kind of snuggle up in between it. There was Tom White, Rambler 69.
Oh yeah.
He had a video. I don't remember how old the video is, but me and Heather sat and watched it, and he was showing his model room, and it was like neat as a pin. There wasn't anything out of place. Now it was a video, so maybe he straightened it up. But at Acme, whenever Tom took his car, he got a top 10. I said, "Hey Heather, that's the guy that had the really neat model." That's how I described who Tom White was to Heather. I said, "That's the guy that had the really neat model room." And she said, like, if he saw yours, he would die. And he probably would.
Yeah.
So that's okay. He can come visit anytime he wants. There's a precursor on the outside that says this thing is very messy. Caution before entering.
Yeah. Wear gloves and keep your shoes on. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's fun.
I get a thing going that I start getting on a roll and I'm thinking of things and trying to combine things or looking for neat little pieces and parts, and this kit might hide that. I could be all of a sudden there'll be around my chair will be stacks of model kits. All of a sudden, I've pulled so many models off the wall and they're just stacked around me. And it's I got to put them all back. And they end up just being a pile, and not a very neat pile either. They'll be like this and that.
Yeah.
If I get on a roll, especially when I'm in a heavy project or something, yeah, oh boy. I already have like a stack brewing underneath, just under where my knees are. I can't even push up to the table right now because I'm like trying to go through some things and too many projects going on.
That's what's fun about it. You can do it how you want to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Fun.
Train, I don't know if they can hear it, but the train is outside and it's going by. So we call this
really?
the perfect time. I can't do a video without the train coming by. Yeah.
No, I can't hear it, but I have my thing turned down real low, so I hear it.
Oh yeah. He's blowing extra loud. Yeah.
Do you have a railroad track like go right behind your backyard there?
So we live about 50 yards off of the road, and then on the other side of the 4-lane is the track, and it just so happens to be an or a crossing right there. And he finds it necessary, even though no one drives across that crossing. He finds it necessary to have to just really lay on the horn.
So you gotta do that. Yeah, I know. I had growing up when I lived up in New York State, and I was in the Appalachian Mountains there.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine. I loved going to his house, but they lived in this house that was like right next to the train track. The train track was practically like in his backyard where we played. There was trees and stuff, and we go to the end of his backyard. We would mess around on the train tracks. We'd put the pennies on the train track.
Oh, yeah, rocks. Yeah.
Yeah. What would happen?
Yeah, hide in the bushes and wait till it went by. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was always but it was crazy. I mean, it would just shake the house like you see in the movies when they make kind of a comedy movie that would have a house next. It was really like that.
The pictures rattling on the wall.
Oh yeah, because it was a house that was like built in the 30s or something like that, 40s. It was an old house. Oh, that was funny, but yeah, I grew up around trains going by in the neighborhood all the time. We'd always hear the thing. Yeah, so yeah, that's cool. Don't get it in a big city. The train is so far away.
Yeah, the big city of Phoenix.
Big city of Phoenix. Well, man, I want to thank you for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I think we had a fun conversation about what we love.
It is fun, and I appreciate the invite and to be able to do it, and to for people to even maybe they'll watch this video once they see who your guest is. But anyway,
that was honestly my I figure, I should have Matthew Inman in because, I need some views.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That might be a negative thing for you. But anyway, you are Luka Cee.
Well, okay. I forgot.
Yeah. I still can't remember. I still go back to that first time I wanted to have you on my live stream. And I said, he'll never even respond.
Oh, I know. That was so funny. And it was like when you did that, it was like right about the time that I found your channel, was watching it. And I just, I was at work when you text me or message me, and I'm like, hold on, everyone. Can someone take over for me? I got to go in the back room.
Oh man.
Heck
Oh, man.
yeah.
Well, it's
That's
like I
cool.
say, it's been fun. Thanks for having me on. And
thanks.
anytime you want to talk about models, and when you and I talk on the phone or whatever, it's
Oh,
I don't want anyone to think that we're putting it on. This is exactly the
yeah,
way
this
we talk.
is
Yeah,
what we do. This is what we do. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we always keep in touch, so that we'll do it again. And maybe we'll do a I'll come on your channel too. I love doing this kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. I had a great time on your live feed that one time when you invited me in with your Patreons. I've been wanting to do that for my Patreons. I got to do that one of these days.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I tell you what, there's still the rule on this show. Do you remember?
Vaguely. I hardly ever watch your channel, so vaguely.
Well, give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
So Luka Cee always says to be sure to cut that styrene and to I thought I had a saw around here, but anyway, you would cut the styrene. Hold on. I actually have a missing finger, so I could do it like this. Cut the styrene and cut the styrene and glue those fingers together and shoot. Here's the producers.
Winner.
That's
Thank
what BT
you all.
does.
Have a great night.